Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about our water maker. It's the Katadyn Power Survivor 8, and it's about 8 amps it uses, and it does 3.5 gallons an hour. So I'm just going to walk through what we normally do to get ready for it. So we have two different filters, a rough water filter and a fine 30 micron water filter. I don't change the rough water filter out as much actually as the 30 micron one, because here in the harbor we actually don't get a lot of like seaweed and stuff. When we go out into the ocean, we always change it out because you'll sometimes get seaweed. I found jellyfish. I actually found a tiny little minnow in it once, and that's supposed to stop all of that bigger stuff from coming through. So normally come over here, and first thing we do is I turn off the actual water valve. It's right here. So I turn that off first, obviously, or else all the water will come in. Then I open up this area, and this is the raw water pump. Raw water filter right here. So we have a little bit of water that comes out, but since the water valve is off, it's fine. Cypher always ends up checking it out. And then I just go dump this out and rinse it out in the sink. Here we go. Then we just put it back on. I put it on most of the way. And then I don't like a lot of water. I don't like a lot of air in the lines. So I'm actually gonna fill up this filter first. So how I do that is I don't have it screwed on all the way. And I just open up the valve, then the air comes out. Once the water starts coming out, I close it up. Now I'm actually going to be turning off the valve again to do my other filter. So the water valve is off. And now this is the 30 micron filter. And this, since the water valve is off, shouldn't leak hardly at all. Now this we take outside and rinse out in the water. So the manual says to just take it and dump it up and down in the ocean. But I found that if you fill it up and actually push it up and down in the housing, it gets a lot more out and it gets a lot cleaner. So I do that a few times. I always want to make sure this O-ring is still in there. I lost one of those once and it won't seal anymore. And I fill this back up, and I let this dry for a day, and I grab the other one that was drying. And I just put this back in, dump out the excess, and put it back. So now that we have the new filter, and it's nice and clean, and we filled this up with water again, We just put this back on. Cypress, are you still in there, buddy? What were you doing in there? Always remember to get your cat out of the bilge before closing everything up. So then I can turn this back on since the rough water filter is closed and changed, and the fine 30 micron one is too. You can have two different ones, like a 5 micron one and a 30 micron one to like reduce it, but I had problems with it getting enough pressure that way. So, bye, Zephyr, come on, get out. Good boy. So the system that we have right now is the water comes in from outside through that first filter, through the second filter, and then it goes into here. Now, I don't normally have to really do anything in here, but it comes into here. Let's see if we have enough light. So it comes into here. This is the actual pump. Well, this is the motor, and this is the pump. And it comes in here. It goes into these high pressure lines, goes into the actual chamber that does the filtering of the salt water, and then the fresh water comes out here, and the salt water goes into this excess tube and dumps out. Now the great thing about the Katadyn, Katadyn is actually the people who bought Spectra. So they're kind of the same company. This was something they developed, I think, before they bought Spectra. And it was actually developed for military use. So it's like super simple. There's no gauges that you have to change. The pressure is all set internally. And it's just really turning it on and making sure the filters are good. One thing about the pump right here, is, so this has some electrical components, and this is where the water gets pumped in. So they say to always have it sideways like this. Don't have it up here or the other direction, because if you have it like this, there is some oil and stuff in here, not much, but if that leaked, it could actually get into your water. And if this is upside down and this is on top, if this leaked, it could get into your motor and ruin it. So always have it sideways like this. I have had this intermittently leak some water, and it's never been like super serious. It doesn't do it all the time. So I haven't gotten some valve right here when you're pumping in the water to go here. Some of it is getting sucked in here from time to time. So if that happened and we had been sideways like this, it could have gotten into this pump and ruined it. So it's something that's mentioned in the manual. You just leave it sideways like that the whole time. So this comes in two different settings, a 12 volt and a 24 volt. The one I got was used and it was already 12 volt. If I was gonna buy a new one, I would buy 24 volt because that's what our battery system is. So we end up, so over here we have the 24 volt from the battery system coming in, and this right here is a converter, so it changes it from 24 volt to 12 volt, and then this is just all the fuses and stuff to make it safe. So this goes in, and we have the switch for the main pump, and also I have just another pump that I'll show you later. There you go. So to turn it on, what we do, come over here. So the fresh water is going to come out of this hose, but for the first 5 minutes or so, it's going to be brackish water. So I put it in a tank that we can throw out. So here the pump is going. We're gonna put this back on because it's a little bit quieter. So you see the water starts coming out. But for, like I said, the first 5 minutes or so, it's going to be brackish water and undrinkable. So we're gonna test it. I usually just test it by tasting it. Once it tastes fine, then we're good. Cypher always has interest in this. You do need to watch because sometimes he'll take this hose and just throw it out, and then you have water all over the floor. But once it starts tasting good, we take this and we put it right into here. I have it going into the 6-gallon tank once it's good water because I have had a couple of problems once where all of a sudden it started taking in some air and then it wasn't building enough pressure and the water turned back into brackish. So I always want to check the water before I pump it into the tanks. And all I have here is a super simple system. I have this 6-gallon bucket. Once it starts filling up, I have another switch I can do, and I just have a pump in here and it will pump into the main tanks. I can test it with this to make sure it has a low enough count of dissolved solids, which is salt essentially. So that's the main thing about it. You can hear the water maker in the background right here. It's not super loud and it's pretty rhythmic, so it's not like really annoying. We only run it about 2 or 3 hours a day, which is enough typically for our family. We still have the marina where we can take showers. If we were off on some adventure and needed to take showers on the boat, we'd probably have to run it a little bit more. So it's been great for what we've been using it for. We get a bigger boat and do more stuff off from the marina. We'll definitely want a bigger one, but we ended up getting it used and reconditioned, so it was all refixed by the company for about $1,000, which is a super good deal, I think. If you're going to be gone for a little bit, for over 3 or 4 days, you're going to want to use the pickling solution, which makes it so that in the membrane you're not going to get anything growing and it will actually ruin the membrane. So it flushes it out completely, but you don't have to do that if you're actually using it consistently. So the one thing I also often check is to make sure it's actually spitting out enough brine water, which will tell me that the water coming in is bringing enough because it's actually shooting out enough water that we're not using. So that's right under the boat. I'll go show you that real quick. Are you in my way? No, you're never in the way. So we just go back to one of the sugar scoops. And you can see right down there, the water is coming right out. And that is the water that has already been pressurized, and this is extra salty water. So then, once it's in the tanks, obviously, all you gotta do is turn on the faucet and the pumps do the rest. So hope you like that. If you've been deciding whether or not to get a water maker, I think it really makes sense if you are doing anything off grid or like we're on a mooring, so we ended up bringing all of our water in jerry cans, and that just gets really old pretty quickly. So being able to just do it all on the boat, not worrying about going to shore and bringing back 10 or 12 gallons of water every day is a lot less work and a lot more peace of mind. So one more thing about the filter here. This is just any filter is fine, but our system that we have is the The actual water maker is sucking in water from outside. I don't have a pump that's pumping water into it because it's powerful enough to do that. But this water maker isn't necessarily built for that. So we actually had a valve on top. You can see it right here. It was a pressure valve so that if too much pressure was in there, you could push the valve down and it would release some of that pressure, especially if you were trying to open it and there was too much pressure, you needed to do that. But the problem with this system is since it was sucking in the water, it was actually sucking that valve down and getting a little bit of air in there. And the problem with that is any air in the system will end up making it so that's not working very good at all, or maybe not at all. So I ended up taking out that valve completely and just sealing it off. So because this system, we're not forcing pressure in, it's never going to be overpressured. It's just sucking water through. So you may find that your type of filter is the same way, and you're going to have to do something about that. So we made it to Marathon, and I've been there for over a year, and I'm loving it. So happy that you can come along, and we're going to show you how we got there and some adventures along the way. Been excited to be able to share this with friends and family and with you guys, and one of the ways we've been able to do that is my coloring book, Florida Keys Coloring. It's just all the fish and coral that we've seen here, and you can check it out at the website, floridakeyscoloring.com, and join in with the experience. Since the stars arrive, let the